very first question emerged in my mind is AI or ML is an opportunity or threat to the workforce? What are the suitable industries or functional areas where AI can be implemented easily? I heard many people say AI or the automation will take the jobs. I'll say no. They will never take the job. They will take the task. There is a difference between job and task. And those tasks are boring. A man can't be motivated with those kind of jobs. So if I take the monotonous job out of a man's daily routine and give him some interesting thing, there will be more productivity. And the automation, if that takes care of these kind of jobs, great enough, I'll say. What are these kind of jobs like accounting, store management, inventory, logistics? These are the routine kind of jobs. Why not they take it? So I'll take it, again in the round table manner, starting with Devashi.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you very rightly said, AI will redundant the tasks. The tasks are redundant, the jobs will become interesting. Now, to give my perspective, and it's a perspective that touches our heart, electricity, light, and all those things. At our company, we think we are the electrical goods company and having 7 mini verticals like from mixer, fan, electrical appliances, shavers, and street lights and domestic aids. What we thought is that, and what we understood being part of this journey in my company, AI is a misnomer. Artificial intelligence, as my feeling is that old wine has been kept in a new bottle. We have been using AI for the past 10 years. We are, for the Oracle database industries, we were using the TDHMS platform, we were using the trigger and all those things, and it's a misnomer that we would say. So we were using AI, but now probably what the thing has come, AI as a term has come and using data analytics in a smart way to give you a predictive maintenance. So if I will take the word and take the sum of predictive maintenance is one task that AI has made interesting. I cannot divorce IoT from AI. IoT and AI is very much part essence of electrical industry. Let me take it further. There is a street light. And street light, there are certain parts which are susceptible to fail. Previously, I started my electrical journey way back in the year 97, worked in the companies, and I was also a part of startups, not as great all you people startup, which I got extreme regard for you. And I was a part of even with manufacturing transformers to be used in a lamp or a bulb. The only reason, if a transformer fails, I would go and replace it. So transformer fails, I replace it. There's a lot of time from the feedback from the warehouse to the end user, and the light can be switched off. What AI and IoT is doing is that there's a predictive maintenance because every driver is having a sensor embedded inside. If there's an end of life cycle, I can get an alert. That alert will help me to decide whether I should have a complete replacement, partial replacement, or no replacement. That is ultimately my role. So one thing AI is giving me a data to analyze. Ultimate how to act on the data is the prerogative of the human. So jobs will not be redundant, endorsing promotion, tasks will become redundant.
Thank you.
So I by and large agree with what's being said, but I have a slightly different perspective. I feel that while it is true that AI is going to reduce the menial tasks that people have to do, freeing themselves up for higher level work, if you want to call it that. I feel that there will be genuine job loss, and there is a genuine threat to the workforce across the world. Sure. And that's going to come from losses in manufacturing, losses in call centers, job losses even in healthcare. And when one says that yes, there will be new kinds of jobs that will come up, it is not the person who loses their job who is skilled to do those new kind of jobs. Right? In some cases, there will be the kind of annotation jobs that Shantanu described, where you are tagging data, which is not a very high skill task, and someone has to do it. So I feel there will be some of those jobs, but if you look at the US, for example, where now they're moving towards a minimum wage of $15 an hour, no one's going to pay for someone $15 an hour to tag data. That's going to move to the third world countries, where the hourly rate is much lower. So as we look at it, yes, we can be driven by our shareholders and the fact that we have to have very attractive P&Ls at the end of the day. But we have to understand that there will be disruption, and the disruption is going to need to be addressed. It will need to be addressed in the form of trying to figure out how to reskill people whose jobs are lost, as well as trying to understand what the jobs of the future will be. Now, if you asked us 50 years ago, what are the kinds of technologies that would exist today, what are the kinds of jobs that would exist today, no one would be able to predict that. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have content sites like YouTube. But today we have YouTubers, we have Instagram influencers, we have people taking selfies. These are phenomena and jobs which we didn't know, couldn't have predicted in the, 50 years ago. So while we look at the labor industry and what we need to do about it, I don't think it makes sense to think 50 years ahead. But maybe we can think about what are the kind of jobs that are going to be required in 10 years from now, and what's the kind of education that's going to be required for those jobs, what's the kind of reskilling that's going to be required. Maybe we need to be thinking about what the future of jobs itself will look like. Our careers, today we're used to, and some of us have worked for the same company all our lives, right? But that's not likely to be the case in the future. The future of jobs, the future of careers is likely to be very episodic, where you work for some time, then you find that you become redundant, you reskill yourself, and then you're ready for the next set of jobs that are available. So I expect that through AI, we're going to see a lot of disruption in the workforce, and this is going to be much bigger than the kind of disruption we saw with the first industrial revolution.
My take on this particular subject in terms of threat and opportunity is very simple. I think we are looking at AI in terms of, or technology that can bring revolution to the organization. But let's understand some fundamentals out here. Right? If you really look at organizations, right, what is the objective end of the day? We are talking about, maybe building better profit for the organization. We are looking at corners where we can cut the cost. We can look at areas where we want to eliminate the waste. Those fundamentals never changes. Right?
Sure.
Now we are looking at these problems or looking at these opportunities. It's the way that you put it, right? Whether you put it opportunity, whether you put it threats, but it's all about, some people will be in the leader's laggard, some people will be followers, and it's all about the journey. Right? It a lot depends on the organization. It a lot depends on the individuals who are responsible for kind of sailing through this journey that is to be taken, right? I think from an organizational point of view, AI, definitely gives a lot of opportunity to the organizations to work on all these key parameters where the organization basis essence is to kind of, create value. Value for stakeholders, value for maybe, whosoever it is, right? So that's where it is.
So basically, from my perspective, since I'm in the the industry of supporting parents, so we actually visualize AI as an opportunity to solve problems at a scale. So just to give one use case, one of the use case, that's where we actually started thinking around it. Is one of the use case on our platform was that parents ask questions to experts and experts give an answer to them. Now, at a small scale, this is a tech solution. Somehow you need to connect experts to parents. But as the problem increases with scale, when we are talking about, when the number starts touching, thousands and reaching millions, how do you actually balance the demand and supply in this case? Now, one way to look at it is, what if, you can just scale the number of experts, but that's not a viable solution. At the same point of time, there is a problem which is at the expert side. From their perspective is that, they are solving the same problem again and again and again. When it comes to the percentage of unique cases or unique situations, it reduces with scale. So now, if you have to solve this, that's where now you need to bring in some kind of a system wherein, you can actually understand what the parents' queries are, understand the context at which they are being asked, and then somehow give an answer to it. Now, that's where we see that, we can leverage an AI kind of a tool. There are technologies within AI which have now enabled doing this or building this kind of a system. And that's how we see that, how and AI can help us now take this use case, solve this problem at a larger scale. But having said that, it is very necessary to keep a balance. Okay, because as I mentioned that, AI should be a way to solve the problem. It is not the end that, okay, AI is the solution to that problem. So, for example, in this case, the problem statement was that, we want to support more and more parents and we want to reduce the time which is being taken to support them, which is being governed by the number of experts that we have in the back. Now, the moment we bring in AI, that we have a definite advantage over by decreasing the time. But at the same point of time, we also need to ensure the goal was not to decrease the time, but the goal was to reduce the anxiousness of the parent.
Yeah.
The parent needs to feel that I am supported.
Yeah.
So the solution doesn't stop at the AI. Rather, you have to think that if the parent is still not happy, still not supported, you need to at the end give the support, now which can be again supplemented by the experts. So it is more like, it's becoming more like a supplementary kind of a system.
Sure.
And you ensure a balance that at the end of the day, the parents are getting feeling supported.
Yes, Mr.
Okay, so in terms of opportunity, actually my brother is also a surgeon, and we keep debating this quite often. I think healthcare sector, as far as India is concerned, I feel two sectors. One is healthcare, definitely, is going to lead AI ML revolution. The reason being, one is there is enormous amount of data that is available with healthcare industry. Second is that in India, there is severe shortage and therefore problems of scalability. So for example, in smaller towns and cities, we all know healthcare system is totally crumbled. So that is definitely one domain where AI ML will play a very important role, and they are already playing very important role in Western countries. Second is, I feel agriculture. Agriculture is going to be, the reason being there are just too many inefficiencies in agriculture in today's India. And as you rightly pointed out, there will be disruption, there will be job losses, especially in that domain. But as a technical person, what I feel is there is a limited responsibility of technocrats in this domain. The primary responsibility lies with social and political leaders. So for example, in Western countries and even in India, there is talk of universal basic income. So, social and political leadership will have to think about such solutions. Disruption will be there, but that will be overcome going forward.
I agree.
So that's my point.
You're very, rightly you have identified the two industries which I also vouch generally, the medical and the agriculture. Holland has increased their agriculture output 3 times using the AI.
Right.
This is a phenomenal, And the third industry which I feel is a law industry. The lawyers will be outdated. Like a doctor.
I think it will be very good.
Yeah, doctors, lawyers, and the agriculture. These are the 3 very potential industries I feel where the AIs or the ML can be used. Yes, sir.
So I kind of feel that AI is vastly misunderstood, and it's not a solution to everything. And I don't think it has a use case everywhere. So you just don't need to force fit it and say, hey, look, AI will solve this problem. For example, in the medical industry, there's a huge amount of very basic unsupervised learning which is put on tests data, and the case studies are very large. So for 15 million tests which Apollo conducted in the last 1 year, which tests were more, whether it's CBC count or, So these unsupervised learnings bring out some visual data because not everything can be analyzed. That is why the big data is there. If 300 million photos are uploaded on Facebook every day, there's no analysis of that, right? There's a visual data which will come out. And there is AI on that. But the AI on that is a continuous process. Say, for example, there is a patient on which the record is continuous. And how it will impact the nursing staff is that, nursing staff is not just nursing staff. There's front office everywhere who's taking on those tests and all. And that will convert into booths where humans are not required because they've got a database on me. And, they know I've been doing a diabetes test for a long time. and that will pop out just because the data is on me. And AI is about that specific problem or specific data point or individual or whatever you call it. On the infrastructure perspective, I think it's very expensive right now to use data tools. Everybody says that our algorithm, our infrastructure is the best. But right from AWS to everyone, the infrastructure is very expensive. Very, very expensive. You know, the kind of data calls we have to make, say for example, in a single user session on my website or an app, if I want to optimize AI learnings on that person, and I've got like 10 million users, the data costs are phenomenal. So I think we've got a serious problem out there, and entrepreneurs can't just afford it. I mean, that's very difficult.
Yeah, we are surviving on free credits from AWS and Google for very long time.
Very long. Next thing is that there will be massive job losses, and like Jack Ma says, all process-oriented jobs will go to AI. So all processes will go to AI, and all the human emotion jobs will not.
Yeah. So probably I'm the last. So most of the people have said a lot of points. So in general, in nutshell, my feeling is the overall number of jobs after AI, ML, or even if I try to include software algorithms also in that, because sometimes it's a little difficult to create a line between that. I think overall number of jobs will increase, not decrease. This is my feeling. Of course, some country will lose job and some other will gain. Let's say manufacturing may be outsourced earlier by US to some other country. They may move it back because it's done by robotics, so probably they can bring back some manufacturing back to their country. Similarly, some segment or some verticals may also lose job and some others may gain job. I want to cite two examples to see that why the number of jobs can increase. See, so far, let's say if a marketer needs to do a marketing, probably they may go to a Virat Kohli who is having probably millions of followers, and single shot they can get 100 million followers or 100 million users and it can dump to them. But slowly there is a concept which is becoming very, very popular. It's called micro-influencer and nano-influencers, where now people are talking about 300 followers, 1,000 followers, 3,000 followers. Now to reach to a same number of one Virat Kohli, they need to work with 10,000 YouTubers or social media partner. So ideally speaking, now the job which was earlier done by one Virat Kohli will be done by now 10,000 YouTubers. So now that can only be done if you have a machine learning, AI, even software algorithm. I don't want to beyond the point differentiate that. But that can only be done if you have a system in place who is able to give the same result to a marketeer which can be done by one big guy as compared to 10,000. Although I use Virat Kohli's name, so although it's on air, but still not going against him, but just trying to make my point that it will go from one guy to 10,000 smaller people over there. That's number one. Second is if we think about from a marketing point of view again, probably as you said, you gave one example, if Netflix wants to show a one thumbnail to me, they may have to make 10,000 thumbnails to me because they want me to consume the same content by showing different thumbnail. And earlier, probably because there was no intelligence, so they would keep showing me the same thumbnail. So the job of creating thumbnails will increase. And use it in another way. Suppose if I am seeing one ad, now if there are 20 people in this room, all 20 will see the same ad but with a different image. And even you may see the same ad at a different time with a different image. So that means the job of creating that image will increase because the number of images those were got created earlier were too limited, now they are numbing like that. So my general feeling is the new jobs will get created because you have better data processing, you have a better way to extract knowledge of that data, and because of all that, everything will increase. But the critical thing as per me which needs to be taken care here is because the education system, or the learning, the courses has to accordingly transform with the same speed. Because otherwise the people who got trained with one skill set, if they don't get a right opportunity, right course to get trained with a new requirement or a new skill set, that transformation may become a problem.
I think that's a very interesting point you said, because ultimately corporate look for the optimizing the cost, reducing the cost. And why Virat Kohli one person? When I can do 1/100th of the cost with a micro kind of bloggers or the YouTubers. Why not I do that? Because my reach will be same ultimately. I think this is a very interesting point. And overall, I see 70% of people feel there won't be much job impact. And to enforce that, I'll say one disruption of the on-demand taxi across the world has in fact increased the sale of the cars. Very simple. Ultimately, from the car manufacturer, they want to increase the sale, and they are getting it. And consumer is getting the lower cost of the moving from one place to another place, which is good for them also.